Welcome back, dear traders. Our traditional review of the New York session is already on tap. As our analysts expected, the US stock market closed with considerable gains in the light of dovish remarks by Jerome Powell and decent quarterly reports by Microsoft and Alphabet. Wall Street indexes closed yesterday on a positive note. The Dow Jones closed 1.38% up. The Nasdaq leapt 4.06% and the S&P500 rose 2.62% to close at 4,023 points. However, the benchmark indexes lack confidence in the pre-market today. All of them are trading flat. The intraday corridor for the S&P is between 3,960 and 4,080 points. Yesterday, the Fed raised the funds rate by 75 basis points. Wall Street indexes gave the opposite response because the rate hike had been already priced in by the market. Investors shifted focus towards the press conference by the Fed chairman. Jerome Powell stated that further policy moves would depend on upcoming economic data. So he dropped a hint that the Fed might hit pause in a monetary tightening in September. Besides, he reiterated that the U.S. economy has not entered a recession yet amid the strong labor market and confessed that consumer spending was going down. Optimism on Wall Street came from better than expected revenues of Microsoft and Alphabet. Microsoft presented forecast of a two-digit revenue growth for the coming fiscal year. Alphabet also reported higher than expected revenue and profits. Stocks of the high-tech giants jumped 7% on Wednesday. Today, market optimism dampened after Meta platform CEO Mark Zuckerberg warned about looming layoffs in the face of an economic downturn. Meta revenue contracted in the second quarter to $28.8 billion from a year ago. It's the first decline since the company made its Nasdaq debut 10 years ago. Meta unveiled its revenue forecast for $26 and $28.5 billion for the third quarter, much lower than the Wall Street consensus at $30.4 billion. MasterCard announced today a sharp increase in the profits in the second quarter thanks to a surge in international spending and traveling. Its profits stood at $2.3 billion in the second quarter, or $2.34 per share, compared to $2.1 billion and $2.08 per share a year ago. Shell reported amazing financial results. Its profits came in at $11.5 billion, surpassing the forecast made 3 months ago. The profits were boosted by robust gas sales and processing. The company announced the buyback program of its own shares worth $6 billion. Later today, Amazon and Apple are due to report on their financial results. The US dollar index is trying to regain its footing after a cautious press conference by Jerome Powell. The index fell to approach the previous peak of 107 points. It's likely to trade in the corridor between 105.80 and 106.90 today. Having digested the Fed's decision and Powell's message, investors are anticipating the US GDP data, which is due today. The consensus suggested that the US economy could have expanded by 0.5% on year, following a decline in the first 3 months. The first GDP estimate has fallen short of expectations. The US economy eased the pace of a contraction and shrank by 0.9% sequentially in the second quarter, following a slump of 1.6% in the first quarter. Thus, the first estimate signaled a technical recession. The culprit of an economic decline is inventories and business investments. Inventories went down mainly in the retail stores and the car dealing centers. Investments in the housing sector tumbled 14%. Investments in the construction sector dropped 11.7%. The PCE slowed down its growth to 1%. On the plus side, trade made a positive contribution for the first time in the last 2 years. Indeed, exports surged 18%, with industrial shipments taking the lead. Imports rose 3.1%. All in all, the US economy has contracted for 2 quarters straight, which is traditionally termed a recession. US Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen will make her comments tonight. The USD CAD pair is moving in the loonies' favor, but it went up in the New York pre-market. The currency pair is likely to hold in the corridor between 1.2790 and 1.2880 today. The greenback's advance could push the USD CAD pair up. In case the US dollar fails to assert strength, the currency pair will be trapped in a range here for the whole session. The economic calendar lacks any reports from Canada, and the oil market is carrying on with the modest growth without any shocking news. Brent crude gained 0.55% to trade at $107.27 a barrel, and WTI rose 0.41% to trade at $97.75 a barrel. As for the crypto market, traders appreciated the correlation between Bitcoin and the Nasdaq yesterday. The Nasdaq jumped 4%, whereas the flagship crypto spiked more than 10% to $23,460. Moreover, Ethereum zoomed up 16.5% to $1,600. Other altcoins quickly followed suit. Today, the crypto market calmed down and seems to be losing momentum. Bitcoin is trading sideways, eager to defend gains of Wednesday. So at the moment of recording this video, the token is trading in the range between $29,800 and $23,100. It lacks momentum to break the upper border. At the same time, it's keeping afloat. If the token settles beyond any of the borders, it will develop the move in the same direction. To sum up, investors have to digest plenty of information before they make any trading decisions. Follow developments in financial markets on InstaForex TV channel, and see you online tomorrow.